Welcome back to the Convo Couch, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And we have Jonny Sue on the ones and twos. How you doing over there, Johnny? Is your microphone on? Yeah, he's on. He's over there. He's hanging on out. We have some people in the house. Old Gringo, Jim Lockett, Jesus Zamora. Thank you so much, Old Gringo.
What's up,
Philip
guys?
Blair. Cam Shari, Kate, we love you. Patreon, got to hit you up. Karen M. And over on the Facebook, we have some people joining us as well. We had a great weekend, and let's see who we got over here. Nobody's showing up. Where's that? Let me try it now.
That's weird.
Our Facebook is always giving us troubles.
It was a great weekend. It was Halloween, and I went out with the Bernie Metro Squad. We did a little bit of just shouting for Bernie, which was great. A lot of people wanted to take pictures with us. It was really awesome. People were really excited. And then we went to canvassing on Sunday with Melissa Michelson in Alhambra area. Everybody was canvassing. It was the weekend to go canvass. Lots of things happening, fams. Lots of things happening.
They had a big event, the De Los Muertes. The Bernie van was out there with Mr. Old Man Crow, our boy, out there signing people up, getting people signed up to vote for Bernie, getting them registered to vote. So the Bernie van was out there in Mariachi Plaza. That was pretty awesome.
Have you ever been there?
Yes, I have. I used to take the train there a lot of times. And
it's really nice.
Hang on out. It's like right on the gold line, so it gets 1, 2, 3.
It reminds me of like TJ.
Yeah, it does. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Tony Humanic is over there. Danny O'Brien as well. Guys, like, share, subscribe.
Yes.
As you know, we are getting suppressed. It's so weird because like our videos will get like nothing, like no plays, and all of a sudden they'll just be like spouts of just hitting the faucet and leaking out heavy and going heavy. So please check like, share, subscribe. We got a lot of things going on. Fam, there was a great healthcare bill released, wasn't there? Didn't we? Okay. Now we have the bill that we've been waiting for. She's done it. She had plans, and here comes her plans.
Okay, so as many of you know, Elizabeth Warren released her Medicare4All plan finally, and it's kind of we have to break this down, obviously separate on the show, but I wanted to give you guys a glimpse as to what the very, very obvious problems are with this plan, because there are problems. And one of the biggest things about it is that it's expensive and it does not make sense economically. And the reasons Elizabeth Warren came out with this plan, the way she framed it was, I am the only Democratic candidate that isn't going to raise your taxes. And this plan is cheaper than Bernie Sanders. I mean, she literally said that she's not raising the taxes. It's as if she's trying to get the right or the centrist, like, don't raise my taxes. She's talking to the elites like, oh, we're not going to raise your taxes. But it's very interesting because her plan actually turns out to be more expensive if you really look at it. So again, it's expensive. And Jacobin did a really great article on hers talking about how her plan to finance Medicare for All is simply a disaster. Because basically, to summarize that, Johnny can scroll down, but basically the crux of this is that Elizabeth Warren has what is called a head tax instead of Bernie's progressive tax.
A what tax?
A head tax.
So you tax from the head up or something? Or
well, it's these employers are required to pay a contribution to equal to 98% of their per employer healthcare costs in the year prior to Medicare4All's implementation. But this means that initially some employers pay more than others, since it's already the case as what is now.
The status quo. Right?
But over time, the employer's contribution will gradually be converged to average employer Medicare contribution until every qualifying employer is paying the same amount per employer. And it says that employees with less than 50 employees would be exempt from employer Medicare contribution both initially and forever. But
so
that's a problem.
Right?
Yes, but that's a problem because that is going to drive these small businesses into avoiding paying into it. And so then they are going to hire independent contractors more. And then you have that problem as well. And then it says here, independent contractors and companies who hire them will also be exempt from the employer Medicare contribution, both initially and forever. This is a problem, again, because then you're driving more people towards not having a secure job, and you're driving these employers to try to save money because you're not giving the small businesses the big tax cut that they need.
Yeah.
So they're going to obviously want to have independent contractors instead.
Yeah.
This is also a bad distribution of the
I wanted
economics.
to say something real quick though about the employee thing, because as an employee in the restaurant business, when I work for a certain company that shall not be named, is that they will start to tap dance around these situations to make sure they don't have to pay the things.
Right.
In other words, they went to the manager's schedule and he says only 4 employees are allowed to have over 28 hours a week, because everybody had to be part-time. So therefore they didn't have to mandate to the insurance because they had a big company. So companies will defend against this. They'll start tap dancing around stuff. It says less than 50 employees, but then they're going to start saying, well, is it part-time employees, full-time employees?
Right.
They'll find a way around that when it comes to that. What she's trying to do is a very tight tap dance there.
So this is a head tax that she's proposing, and this is a difference between that. There's a chart here if you scroll down, and this is the difference between 8% employer side payroll tax and then 9,500 employer side head tax by workers' earnings. Just so you guys can see this graph. The second graph we have here is the same as the first, except that the vertical axis is done as percentage of earning rather than dollar amounts. So in this graph, the 9,500 head tax is equal to 63% of the earnings of the workers making $1,500 per year, but only equal to 5% of the earnings to the workers making $200,000 per year. So this, let me just summarize it in more simple terms, because they purposely make this complicated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to go down to this little summary, Jonathan, that I have.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go back. Either Warren's plan has a 10-year plan, or she has made the suggestion wrongly that it is, because she needs to clarify her language, because people are saying, no, it's not a 10-year plan. It's only the 10-year cost that she was referring to. But nowhere else does it say 4 years or 6 years or 2 years. It says 10 years continuously. The problem with a 10-year plan, obviously, is that the insurance companies can hijack the price for the remaining time and screw people until that changes. And then it would essentially fail, because if it takes that long to implement, Warren won't even be the president by the time this is done, right?
Yeah.
Her plan, unlike Bernie's, doesn't cover everything. It only covers a percentage of plans. So Bernie's covers everything. No co-pays, free dental, free mental care, etc. Warren's only covers a percentage of that. And again, it appears to cost less, but it ends up costing us more. And her plan says that they don't raise taxes, but that's disingenuous, because the money comes from somewhere else. And the money is going to come from our pockets, which I'm going to explain a little bit later.
Yeah. I have questions already. I'm so confused with her plan.
Yeah. But basically, her Medicare head tax, again, charges middle and low income earners significantly more than the Medicare payroll tax does. And Bernie Sanders has a progressive tax that we're going to show that literally tells you exactly how much you get taxed, and it's dependent on how much you make. And it's not any of this complicated jargon that is made for people to not understand. And it's still a tax, and it's still raising, but they present it in terms of dollars rather than percentages to trick people into thinking it's not a tax. So instead of presenting it as a percentage, she's presenting it as dollars to trick people into saying, oh, this isn't a tax, but it is. Most importantly, her plan was written by Obama's people right, who wrote the ACA. And obviously, whose interests are they going to bear in mind? They want to keep insurance companies in control, so they're going to keep that. She consistently uses the term long-term goal for Medicare for All. I'm going to show you guys the pictures of her actual plan. This language does not indicate an immediate plan of Medicare for All. It puts it as a goal to get there. So again, we're seeing like the language of, oh, this is like an access to there.
Shouldn't long-term goal be more detrimental than Medicare choice? I mean, if you say long-term goal, it's like, I'm not going to implement this now. I'm going to implement it later. It may never happen.
Right.
I mean, you just said she won't even be the president. Somebody can come on in, grenade bomb, it's not implemented, and nothing's done. I mean, isn't that much more dangerous than saying, hey, I'm going to leave some forms of insurance open for you to choose from? I mean, I know.
I think they're both bad, because either way, you're not committing to Medicare for All. And like small businesses, like I said, Pasta, are going to end up paying more or passing the cost to their employers, which is probably what's going to happen. This incentivizes the employers to hire independent contractors, and this is a way they skip contributions into the system. This is exactly what you don't want, because then if not everybody contributes to the system, it fails. Health insurance stocks have already rose as she has set out her plan.
Yeah.
And Warren is also using hidden methods to continue taking insurance money, we talked about DMOs and her daughter.
Yeah.
I'll now have to speak more on that. But I don't really trust her to implement Medicare for All when she has business interests in the insurance industry. So these are directly from her plan.
Okay.
And she says, I've asked top experts to consider the long-term cost of my plan to implement Medicare for All over 10 years. There you go. Dr. Donald Berwick, one of the nation's top experts in health system improvement and who ran Medicare and Medicaid programs under President Obama, and Simon Johnson, the former chief economist at the International Monetary Fund and professor at MIT. So she's talking to these people, again, that were part of Obama's administration. Mm-hmm. She says, and every candidate who opposes my long-term goal of Medicare for All should put forward their own plan to make sure every single in America can get high-quality health care and won't go broke, and fully explain how to intend for it. She also emphasizes, she has emphasized on her Twitter that Bernie's, like, she's the only one that's talked about how to pay for it, which is false. Here again, my long-term goal of Medicare for All refuses to answer these questions directly, should concede that they have no real strategy for helping the American people address the crushing cost of healthcare in this country. We need plans, not slogans.
Ooh.
I mean, I wonder who that's directed to. Oh, here, every candidate who opposes my long-term goal of Medicare for All should explain why the choice of private insurance, there she goes after the choice of private insurance, is more important than being able to choose a doctor that's best for you without worrying about whether they are networks or not.
Taking little jabs, fam, over there?
I think she
take
is.
a little jab at somebody over there using that choice word? Damn.
Here she also says we must prioritize affordable, high-quality mental health services, which is good. Despite the widespread need for these services, many Americans are denied coverage. Elizabeth's Behavioral Health Coverage Transparency Act would hold insurance accountable for providing adequate mental health benefits and ensure Americans receive the protections they are guaranteed by law. This does not say that they would pay for it. This just says they would hold them accountable.
Yeah.
You're not paying for anything here. You're just literally telling people, we're going to tell them to do the right thing. That's no guarantee. And it says she has also worked to hold the Department of Health and Human Services accountable for improving insurance compliance with mental health priority laws through an online consumer portal. So you want to improve, like, their ability to say, yeah, we're going to do this, but there is no backbone there to ensure that they're going to follow through. So what she's giving you is pretty much a superficial, half-hearted, wannabe Medicare for All plan that isn't really Medicare for All, and it's not covering all of the issues that Bernie's plan is covering, because Bernie's also including marijuana in there, mental health, he's including dental work, he's including everything, and she is saying she is, but she's not saying really that this is demanded. She's saying we're going to try to hold them accountable to provide this. Yeah. And the next slide I want to show is that health insurance stocks rise as Elizabeth Warren details her plan for Medicare for All. Mm-hmm. If her plan is really Medicare for All, why are health insurance stocks rising? I just want to know.
Because it seems like she left the door open for them to come on in. I mean, it doesn't seem like she's eliminating.
Right.
And I have some questions for you right off the bat. Number one, doesn't Elizabeth Warren get some kudos for being the first one to say, this is how we're going to pay for it? In other words, a lot of people go, well, a lot of people say, oh, well, how are you going to pay for it, Bernie? How are you going to pay for it? It's like the typical libertarian right wing, well, how are you going to kind of pay for it? And nobody can ever answer it.
Because, well, we talked about this before. Bernie has economic advisors that adhere to the theory of MMT.
Yeah.
And so his idea of paying for it is literally using the majority of it is through the wealth tax that we're going to have, and the tax on Wall Street. That's the percentage of using that money, and of course cutting the costs of the military funding.
Yeah.
That is more than enough, because we know that this money is there because we always have the money to give more money into the war machine. Yeah. We have more money to bail out Wall Street. So Bernie's idea is the money's there.
Yeah.
And I agree he needs to do a better job of explaining it, but he has. So at a recent Iowa town hall, Bernie Sanders directly explained how he's going to pay for this. And he said, this is how it's going to go. It's a progressive tax. And he says, we're going to exempt the first 29,000 people in income. You're not going to have to pay. If you make $29,000 or less, you don't pay anything into the system.
Wow.
Okay, you make $60K, then you're going to pay on $31,000. Okay, so then you're going to have a 4% income tax, which is equivalent to $1,200 a year comprehensive care for your entire lifetime. So the thing is, you're going to get taxed. Let's say you get taxed on the 31. That's what you would get taxed on. So if you make $60K, you're going to get taxed on the $31K, and you're going to pay that. And that's
you're not going to get taxed on the remainder $29,000 extra that you make that you can buy assets, your family,
and it keeps
do all
going.
That stuff
and I think I forgot the picture, but there's a picture where it shows you exactly like how this keeps going and how much you're going to actually be paying for it, because it's a chart that
tweet it later. So people can go to everybody go to Fiorella's Twitter.
Yeah,
you're going to go to your Twitter and grab that information and stuff.
Damn, tweeter just sounds like a dirty word. I don't know.
It sounds like the Dukes of Hazzard. Tweeter, you know what's going on.
So, again, Elizabeth Warren's plan is economically, it's unsustainable. And what the problem with that is it's going to make Medicare for All look unachievable. It's basically like the ACA revamped. It's basically what it is.
On steroids, huh?
Yeah. You want to do some shout-outs?
Let's do some shout-outs before we get to the next thing. Thank you so much, Jim Lockett, Carly M, Power Mike, Karen Daly, Reese Mack. I said everybody else before. Thank you so much for all our Patreons who help us out. We love you.
Thank you, guys.
We put up a new video over there why impeachment might be important, might not be important. We discussed it over on the Facebook. Steve Wilbrandt, Gabriel Ramirez, David Crow is there.
Hi,
Jeff
Crow.
Pearson, and I know we have some special guests in the house over there watching.
We do.
Melissa Michelson and Crow are in the green room in the studio on the MCSC network. How you guys doing? Welcome back.
What's up?
Joe Farley, Ryan Forprez, Carrie Holder, Mathieu Perreux. How are you, sir? Good to see you. Hush Batman. I wish it was Kush Batman, but I'll take Hush Batman. Nikki King, K. Jill, and Humani D. What's up? Yang Gang 2020. Guys, if you haven't got a chance, Big Papa, you too as well, get on over to the Convo Couch YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. We need to do an extra push because we are getting suppressed from our videos. So please go ahead, go over there to our Convo Couch YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. We also have a Rockfin, ROKFIN. Please do so. And, of course, we have a Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, the whole 9 yards. Tulsi Gabbard, though, what does she got?
Tulsi Gabbard. So Tulsi Gabbard went on MSNBC and the show with this anchor that was basically just asking her questions about her spat with Hillary Clinton and her stance on impeachment and what does she mean by when she says that they're coming after her to smear her. So Tulsi Gabbard did a really great interview, and we should just show a little bit of
let's go into it. A couple people were already pimping this morning. I saw the Radical Independent was already playing this, so I was like, man.
Yeah,
we're gonna start this from the beginning. This is MSNBC, reliable news network that it is. Here's Tulsi.
Why did you go there when I know many of your political rivals are not attending?
I think the fact that I am one of the very few who chose to spend this day here in New Hampshire with, I think over 1,000, almost 1,500 people who have gathered to get focused on how we can come together to solve problems. That in and of itself, I think, speaks volumes about one of the major differences between myself and the vast majority of other candidates running for the Democratic nomination. I am seeking to lead all of the Americans in this country, to unify our country, heal the hyper-partisan divisive wounds that we are experiencing, and actually focus on how we best serve the interests of the American people, how we work together, being able to overcome some of these differences that we have to actually solve problems and put the best interests of the people and our country ahead of any partisan or selfish interests.
So let's look at the deadline now to make the next debate, which is November 13th. How confident are you that you are going to get that one more poll needed by then to be on the stage in Georgia?
We'll see, Alex. To be honest, I'm not really paying much attention to that. I'm actually very focused on what we're doing here in New Hampshire today, actually speaking directly with voters, hearing what is on their minds, answering their questions, and sharing and speaking to the kind of unifying leadership that I seek to bring as president. We're doing that here in New Hampshire. We're doing that with voters across the country, especially focused here on the early states, where voters themselves have the opportunity opportunity and the responsibility that they take very seriously as first in the nation to send that message about who they believe will best serve our country as President and Commander-in-Chief.
Okay, so look, I'm not going to take away any of your hard efforts every day in, day out, going and talking with constituents and campaigning. But we do know that you had recently a very public spat with Hillary Clinton after she said that she believes a Democratic candidate is being groomed to be a third-party candidate, not mentioning you per se. Do you feel, though, the attention from this story has been, at least in part, what's given you a boost in recent weeks?
No, I don't, actually. I actually attribute it to the fact that as more and more voters hear about who I am, the experience that I bring to this job as Commander-in-Chief, of having served as a member of Congress now for nearly 7 years on the Foreign Affairs Committee, on the Armed Services and Homeland Security Committees, meeting and engaging with leaders of other countries, focused on the importance of our national security, as well as the experience that I bring as a soldier. I've served now for over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East, and the more voters are hearing about the message and the unifying leadership that I'll bring, and about ending our long-held foreign policy of being the world's police, working to end this new Cold War and arms race, and actually focusing on dedicating hard-earned taxpayer dollars back towards where they're needed, actually serving the interests of the American people. The more people are hearing this message, hearing about who I am, the more our campaign is continuing to grow.
And we appreciate that. But there's something I have to ask, and that is what Hillary Clinton did, which was essentially implying that you're a Russian asset. Why do you think she said that?
The message that she has sent with this outrageous, baseless claim is a warning. It's a warning to every one of your viewers, to every single American, that if you stand up against her, the Bush-Clinton legacy of foreign policy, which really is about being the world's police, going around the world, toppling dictators we don't like, propping up the ones that we do like, which results in incredible refugee crisis, among the worst that we've seen in a generation, strengthening terrorist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, what to speak of the consequence that it has had on my brothers and sisters in uniform, thousands losing their lives, thousands more losing limbs, and how it has undermined the interests of our country. So what's happened here is this is not a personal spat. This is about a sincere difference in foreign policy. Her trying to smear me and to undermine my character with this baseless, outrageous claim is a message to the American people that if you dissent, if you criticize, if you stand up against their establishment foreign policy, then you too will be smeared. I think that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Says Max. So Max Blumenthal can tell you this too as well. You know what I'm saying? Talk about somebody who's speaking up and getting smeared and getting thrown in prison and stuff. Fam, go ahead.
No, I just want to start by saying she made a really important point that I think she got a lot of criticism and unfair for going to this No Labels conference. Bernie went to it in 2015. Bernie was running a different campaign then. He was trying to get more independents and Republicans last time around. I always say this because it's true. And people were, you know, of course the neoliberals were criticizing him, but all of us were like, yeah, this is great. We need to talk to people we don't agree with. Now this time around, Tulsi has gone to this conference, and a lot of these same people, like Mike Figueredo from the Feminist Report, went on and criticized her for going on there. And it's like, well, what the hell? Like, this is exactly what we need to do. You're not going to win in general by ignoring half of the country. You're just not. And so the fact that she did go is very akin to who she is. She's always going to go and talk to people that she may disagree with. That's the number one thing. Number two, that she actually said what's happening here isn't personal with Hillary Clinton. This is about foreign policy. This is about her now using this idea that if you disagree with her pro-war narrative, her neo-McCarthyism, you are also a Russian asset. And thereby, you also are going to be smeared in this way. This isn't just about me. This is about how this can happen to anybody who does this. And that is a very important point to make, because what she is doing is showing the world that this is exactly what happens when you disagree with the establishment pro-war, pro-regime change narrative. And that's something that was very important for a politician to say.
Yeah, and I think we have to also mention that, Donald Trump is part of that establishment when it comes to these people speaking out.
Yeah.
They're throwing people in jail. They're locking people up. Max Blumenthal, and you got now Julian Assange. You have Chelsea Manning. This is all under Trump's administration, too, as well. So he's just a continuing on of the deep state telling people that they're silencing you when they can. I mean, and we experience this all throughout the board. We experience it on this show right here. We're telling people to like, share, and subscribe because all of a sudden they slam the brakes on us, and it just makes no sense. Everything is increasing except for that. They want to suppress the voices there and keep everybody quiet. So when a politician like Tulsi Gabbard comes and speaks out, even Hillary Clinton challenging her, that just shows you even more of the same shit that's going on. It's a message to everybody. Keep quiet, get in line, don't speak out against the elites. And that's what I love about Tulsi Gabbard more than anything. Not the fact that she understands these foreign policies, but she also has the guts to speak up against it. There's a lot of people who understand what's going on. They just don't have the guts to speak up against it. And that's what I love about her the most.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
So what about Bernie's back?
Okay, so Bernie Sanders had a really big rally, the other awaited one besides AOC, with Ilhan Omar.
Yep.
Ilhan Omar, of course, is from Minnesota, and he showed up to Minneapolis to reportedly a crowd of over 10,000 people in this place. Now, Bernie Sanders, if we recall back in 2016, he won Minnesota by a large amount.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
primary.
like ridiculous. It was one of our victories that we were extremely happy about.
That in Michigan.
Exactly. And then on Sunday, he got all these people together with Omar, and then Keith Ellison was also there too. And Omar said a couple of really wonderful things. She said she was honored to stand with the son of a Jewish refugee who survived genocide. As she introduced Bernie Sanders, a lot of people were saying this is great because she's, of course, a Muslim Somali woman, and she's endorsing a Jewish man, son of Holocaust survivors. And I think that's something that is not important just because of their identity, but because of the political, structure that exists right now in the world with Israel and Palestine. She also said that he has stood for justice and never bowed down to special interests in the sea of corruption. And she said that's what we need in a president. And here are the picture of literally he's in a sea of Bernie people, and so is she. And it looks amazing. It looks great. Bernie's rallies just get bigger and bigger. And this is just, again, telling people that he has the majority of the people's support. That's not what's in question here. What's in question here is, does he have the electorate support, the establishment support, the superdelegate support? No. This is how they're going to try, and I say rig this election, and that's just my personal opinion. But I wanted to show this is something funny that Ashley Nicole put up on Twitter, because she caught that during this time Bernie, they were having like the scrolling names of people, I believe, for like donors.
Yeah, there it is.
And and somebody put Epstein didn't kill himself as their name. And it's just funny because Joe Rogan has been doing like the memes, and everybody's doing it now, where, you're talking about something random and all of a sudden you're like, Epstein didn't kill himself. It's pretty funny. But
it's not just funny too. It's serious. We have to start doing this now because everything has gone away. Yeah. Everything has disappeared.
Yeah.
So really pretty much it's the only thing we're left with. On Thursday, we're going to be doing a show with Ron Placone, and Graham Elwood will be in the studio. We will be talking some Epstein stuff. But it really is kind of disheartening in a way, too, as well. And I just don't want to kind of get into it right now because I want to save it. But the Epstein situation is really sad. And a lot of people are, why you haven't talked about this? Why haven't you talked about that? I spent a couple hours going through the documents that released last week. It's like nothing new. And here's the thing that's really sad. No one's getting arrested. Right. Why is Bill Clinton still walking around? Why is Hillary Clinton all in this whole mess with this whole thing when she knew about what Epstein was doing? You know what I'm saying? She had Ghislaine Maxwell at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Why aren't they pulled for question? I mean, nothing has happened. The elites aren't going to be touched. So it's disheartening kind of covering this stuff because they know where these people are, but they get to walk free and roam free on this earth, regardless of the fact that they use children for currency. So that's why I haven't really been reporting on it, because I'm so just freaking disheartened by it.
And just to go back, I think I forgot to mention on the Tulsi thing, like this is why she said they know they can't control me. Like these establishment types, like they know they can't control me. They know like I'm just gonna say what needs to be said, and tying the whole like the foreign policy with the domestic, like this is why we don't have money at home, is because we're spending all this money in these wasteful wars. So we need to stop doing that. And so it's important to, when you look at things like Epstein, it connects because these people are elites. They're part of this cabal, for lack of a better term, of these oligarchs that get away with everything. I mean, if Epstein had been, a poor person, he wouldn't have gotten away with it. And that's the thing. Or he, Ghislaine, you could say the same thing about her, or you could say the same thing about Clinton or Hillary. They always get away with these things. And when you continue questioning it, you're a conspiracy theorist. And so that's how they kill everything. They call you an asset, a conspiracy theorist, and whatever it is to make you think like, oh, these people aren't serious. They have no support of anything.
All right, let's do some shout outs before we get on to the next thing. That was did you have anything else from that topic there, fam? You have the
I just want to mention something else that Ilhan did say, that she was very happy to endorse a president that stands against Western imperialism. And I thought that was very interesting. She said that because she's been better on foreign policy than the majority of her cohorts, but she still has, some things that she's gotten wrong. So I would like to I can definitely see like working with someone like her, because I think she would be more open to it. I think but in relations to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, she's right on the money when it comes to that. Obviously, it makes sense.
But she's got a lot of explaining to do with not recognizing the Armenian genocide. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
she
that
been the
was
best on a lot of things.
Huge
and then all of a
thing.
sudden she said neither when it came to Tulsi and whatchamacallit. So
Yeah.
I mean, she's still far off the map. She's done some big no-nos. So I'm not really willing to put my what's the word, the cheese behind her as the top horse of the squad, because she has also disappointed. The whole squad is disappointed.
That's what I mean.
Like
out of all the squad, though, at least she is a little bit more aware of it.
I mean, I don't know that she thinks that she's aware, but not recognizing the Armenian genocide is a big sin to me. It's almost a cancel sin. If you're not going to recognize that genocide, what are you going to say? You can recognize certain other genocides, but not this one. It's just that was a very big one for me. Kudos on her, ramping everybody up and getting people for Bernie Sanders. But right now, with the last couple months, she's really.
I really don't think, unfortunately, I don't really think we have very many people in Congress that are good on foreign policy. So for those people I think people should run for office. I think we need people who are aware of the global sphere of everything that's going on. We need them to run for office, because the majority of our Congress people aren't even there. Well,
and to tell you the truth, it's one of the things we talked about. We had Mark Sloboda on the show the other day. He's going to be on the show coming up this week, a foreign policy expert. Tomorrow night, late night junkies with us, watch the foreign policy and stuff. But he even tells you, when you're electing a president, you have to look at the powers they have. Constitutional powers they have when it comes to commander-in-chief. You forget about all that domestic stuff, he says. The foreign policy stuff has to come first, because that's where the power lies, right there. And he went on to say, and he's like you, fam. He's left. He's like, liberal as can be. He's progressive, hardcore, and he even says Tulsi Gabbard's the one standing out, plain and simple. And a lot of foreign policy experts who follow these things will say that Tulsi is the best when it comes to foreign policy. And that is one of the most important issues when electing a president. Unfortunately, I know you want this healthcare thing we're going to talk about. You know what I'm saying? It's a process.
It is a process.
It is going to be such a process. Not that it should be ignored, and I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
But there's, once again, I say, fam, it's so important that who's going to be in the room, who's funding these people. If Elizabeth Warren has ties to Big Pharma, she's hooking her daughter up, all these other things, the money, the stocks are raising. That's it seems very nefarious what she's doing. That when people come in the room to sit down and write the bill, I can see insurance executives there. I can see big pharma people there.
I mean, they're already there writing her plan, which is why people don't trust Elizabeth Warren, which is why people understand that Bernie's plan right now is the most, it's the best. It's the most comprehensive out of all the presidential candidates. And you know what? When Jayapal defended Elizabeth Warren and is saying, oh, no, she doesn't mean this, I just feel like she hasn't endorsed either of them. And that's kind of like a thing saying, oh, maybe I'll endorse. I'm going to wait to endorse. Because if we recall, she endorsed Adam Smith instead of Sarah Smith.
That pissed
and
me
that
off,
guy
fam.
was a very pro-war, like,
pro-war.
Oh, my God.
Took money from either Raytheon or one of the, I can't remember because it was a while ago, but I was like.
I thought it was the other one, the Lockheed Martin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always get Lockheed Martin and Dunder Mifflin messed up. Dunder Mifflin is the one with what's his name? The Office, right? Yeah, Michael Scott, right? Let's send some shout outs to some people on YouTube real quick. Proof Anthrax is finally here. Where you been, man? Frederick Murphy, where you been? Saul's there too as well. Star Blast, thank you so much. Christy Brandt, how you doing? Freedom Tribe, we love you. Alex M and Tony watches closely. We watch you as well. ML, Power Mike, and on the MCSC network, we have Terry Quillette, Seuss Dude, Jeff Adelman. What's up, Jeff? How you been? Jilly Love, Kate, Ryan Robinson, Steve Orderbang, and Matal Peru and Human D. I think we mentioned you before. Guys, get on over to the Convo Couch YouTube. Help us out. They're actually unsubscribing people, so we need your love right now to kind of power through and move it up.
And share with your friends. Tell them
do.
to subscribe. Tell them to watch.
All that good stuff.
They're totally doing that to us.
Facebook, Rebecca Lane is here. Carrie Mark, how you doing?
Hi,
thank you for watching. Going over Franklin Ooh. And I think I've named everybody else. Linda Teach, how you doing, Linda? Good to see you.
Linda.
Cameron Stark, Tony Hamonic is still there. Melissa Michelson, what are you doing? Gilbert Flores, Gabriel Ramirez, fam. We love you guys.
Melissa Canvas Queen Michelson. Is
Elizabeth. Melissa.
Oh, jeez.
Well, you said
Don't
Queen.
insult her.
You said Elizabeth Queen Michelson is what I thought you were saying. I said it wrong. But anyways, let's get on to the foreign policy section of our show. So Tulsi has been attacked because of her relationship with Modi, right?
Right.
And it was kind of weird to us, fam, because once again, I didn't follow Indian politics heavily, but I always kind of paid attention.
None of these people attacking her followed Indian politics.
None of them. But I remember Modi having that relationship with Barack Obama 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And now that we've labeled Modi as a Hindu fascist because of the ties to Tulsi, it has caused us to take a further look into what's going on in India. We've been talking to Sham Sharma. He talked about the RSS, the BJP. We talked about the last policies there, the last government that was in before Modi.
And we will continue talking to people because, I mean, there's never enough information on this.
Absolutely.
We're not from there. So there's only so much we can know.
Getting caught up. So somebody said they watched the show, right? So they sent us some stuff. Mm-hmm. And they said, you got to look at those things. There he is. Narendra Modi and Barack Obama. Look like they're cozying up to me.
No one brings this up ever.
Dude, there's a picture of Narendra Modi.
No one brought it up when Obama was in.
No, they didn't care. They didn't care. But so we have to further look into what's going on with India and the Modi government because now they're being labeled as Hindu fascists, right? Mm-hmm. So somebody sent me some information. They said, listen, you guys have to take a look at the way India and Modi is with Palestine. And I was like, oh, well, FAM is going to love that. And they even said, if you know how FAM is about Israel and Palestine, you treat the Palestinians as an open-air prison in Gaza. It's terrible. So what is it's terrible.
Watch Gaza Fights for Freedom.
Of course. And for my friend Joe Duenas out there, he said he has somebody who wants to give another point of view when it comes to the other side of Abby Martin. We're open to that. Contact us on the Convo Couch at Gmail. Waiting to hear from you. But let's take a look and examine the way Modi and India handled the whole Israeli-Palestinian situation. So it said right off the bat, Modi stood against the move to Jerusalem to the capital, as the capital in Israel. And you can see it's right here, right off the bat. The Independent did a little report. And it says right off the bat, just beautiful article here. Benjamin Netanyahu, because you had said before too, I'm concerned about the relationship with Bibi, right? Mm-hmm. Disappointed with India's Narendra Modi for voting against Donald Trump's Jerusalem decision.
Interesting.
Fascism fam. He's a fascist. He stood up to Israel. He stood up to Donald Trump. Now, supposedly they're cozying along, right, to the same thing. Mm-hmm. And yet he stood up against that move, which the international community set up against as well.
Of course.
He also, and you can see the next one, he voted to condemn Israel's purging of the Golan Heights. And if you look at the graph over here, you'll see plain and simple. That's the third one, Johnny. Oh, that's the end. Go down, I'm sorry. Right there's the graph. You can kind of move your thing around India. You see it right in the middle. They voted to condemn the occupation of the Golan Heights. So now that's another one going against Donald Trump, going against Bibi.
Who voted to condemn?
India did.
Oh, India. Okay.
They were part of the group of the people who said we're against this move. They shouldn't be moving into the Golan Heights. We talk about it all the time. Mm-hmm. We talked about it with Mark Sloboda too as well. It's just they're just going in there and occupying territory. What about this one? Here's another one. India and Modi, they also voted with a resolution that was accusing only Israel of violating women's rights. And once again, they were one of the countries, I think there was 29, And that's another bold move. That's, once again, you're standing up and you're saying, what you guys are doing there is wrong. I mean, this doesn't seem like a fascist government to me that's standing up for all these rights when it comes to Israel. And you're talking about Muslims on the ground over there in Palestine, right? These are mostly Muslim people, and they say that Modi is so anti-Muslim, he's so bad, he's only good that he's a Hindu fascist, Hindu nationalist, he only cares about Hindus. But what about this right here? And here's the last one, fam, more evidence. Narendra Modi was honored by the Palestinian president, okay? Right there. He was the collar of the state of Palestine. And I just like to read really quick a little bit the first sentence, because it says right here, the first couple sentences, President Mahmoud Abbas bestowed the grand collar of the state of Palestine on Prime Minister Narendra Modi against the collusion of their bilateral meeting in Ramallah. And it's Ramallah.
Conclusion.
It says Prime Minister Narendra Modi was on Saturday conferred the grand collar of the state of Palestine, the highest Palestinian honor for foreign dignitaries, recognizing his contributions in promoting relationships between India and Palestine. And I believe it goes on, it says Modi is the first Indian prime minister to make an official visit to Palestine.
Wow.
The first to go out there and reach across. So all this talk about him being so awful and Modi being terrible, one of the most important issues to a lot of progressives is what? Gaza, Palestine, the treatments of the Palestinians. In fact, I've been at a Tulsi rally where some of our friends, the one from the video, Johnny, Arman Bijiranian, I forget to say her name, but she even said she was really upset at Tulsi for the BDS resolution. I said, well, it was just a resolution. She's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's how strong they feel about this situation. Yeah. That's how strong they feel about Palestine. Well, here is Narendra Modi and his government 4 times right there standing up for Israel, standing up for the Palestinians against Israel, fam.
I mean, and this doesn't necessarily prove that he's not problematic in any way, but I think we've talked to several people from India, and none of them, and not even just from India, but Muslims too, none of them consider him a Hindu fascist. They say that this is something we made up in America to call him that the RSS isn't really fascist. It's just they have some nationalist tendencies, some of them, and depending on who's in power. But nobody's trying to wipe down what he has or hasn't done. The idea here is that a lot of the things we are told in our media is set with a certain narrative. And it's good to actually look at what the government and what these people voted. And we didn't exactly think of that before, but now we're going to start looking into how these people vote, how these foreign governments vote on international issues, UN where they votes. Stand on that. Yeah. Yes, on the UN, because it's really important to have that there. Otherwise, we're just going to continue believing that, the labels. And it's like Game of Thrones, fan. I'm going to bring that up. In the Game of Thrones, people like to, us as human beings, we like to simplify everything and label people as good guys, bad guys. The reality is that the majority of the time, these leaders are very, very complicated, and they're in complex issues, and foreign policy is very complex, and it's not like one guy's going to be a good guy and a bad guy. It's like there's different things, and I can see this with Assad, I can see that with Obama, I can see that with Modi, because we tend to vilify all these other people. But what about how we are perceived from the rest of the world? Like us. Obama dropping bombs, George Bush getting us into Iraq, Bill Clinton and what he did to black people here in America. I mean, we just have to always look at it from the other side.
I think you kind of hit it on the nose too, fam. It's really important to understand that a lot of people have dirt on their hands, and that's the extent of it.
Right.
I mean, that's the excuse when you start talking about another Democratic politician. Well, what about this, and that? Well, everybody's got dirt in his hands. I think we have to decide on what the level of dirt is from passing the shit line and saying, okay, that's acceptable, that's not acceptable. And like you said with Assad, he has a past too as well.
Right.
He did some dirty work for us when he was torturing jihadists or whatnot, or suspected jihadists in the past. So yeah, we understand, and like we said, a lot of times there are these organic uprisings, but we keep on putting fuel on the fire, and then we keep labeling, people for the
a dictator, a Hindu fascist,
and for the 3 white guys that blocked me on Facebook for calling me a Hindu fascist supporter or sympathizer. I mean, shut the hell up. You don't know what the hell's going on over there.
Well, they don't even know what that means.
Exactly.
They don't know.
They're just throwing it out there. It's so easy for them to throw that out there, fam.
And it's even if you believe,
fascist.
Even if you hate Modi, that has he's not running for president. Tulsi is. And Tulsi just practices the religion of Hinduism. So to tie her with him just because she's Hindu, now that's Hindu-phobic.
Yeah.
That's actually wrong. Yeah. Nobody else is getting tied for their religion, and that's kind of what they did to Obama because he was, he was part
Hillary
Muslim.
Clinton with the whole fucking thing she released with the turban on his head. She don't give a shit. They use the same tactics.
So
it's disgusting. And let's not forget that really, to tell you the truth, we say it all the time, it's geopolitical. The relationship is geopolitical. She was asked to go meet Modi because she, because of her time in the service, to make connections, to make amends, to make a relationship, to build it with another country that was building up and coming to fruition.
They have a lot of influence. I mean, they're a big country.
They run joints out. In other words, in that area, the operational drills we run are with India.
Right.
I'm saying you got Russia and China over there, which people say, oh, they're competition or they're an adversary or whatever they are. First of all, I think they shouldn't be. We should be making amends with them. But whatever the case may be, that part of the region, military-wise, we were running drills with India all the time. So there was a very big, collaboration of sorts of our countries coming together. And this behavior right here of Narendra Modi in the UN and India is not indicative of a puppet of the United States and Israel. I mean, openly coming out, these votes are on record in the UN, and coming out against these people like this, saying those things like, you shouldn't move the capital there, that's wrong. You shouldn't take the Golan Heights. That's not a puppet of our government. Okay, the people who went along with this are the puppets of our government. This is somebody else. And once again, I don't want to be in the business of defending Narendra Modi and the Israeli government, but this is not a puppet right here. And using the term fascism like it's nothing, like it's going out of style.
No, that's what's in style now, to call everything fascism. And then it just devalues what actual fascism is, which is a problem.
Yeah. It's terrible. But anyways, we thought we should share some light on that stuff to take a deeper dive into India, because the more we start looking into India and what's going on, because you guys said he's a fascist bastard and everything's going on. So we're out there looking and we're seeing all these things. And once again,
I get a very murky picture. Like he's done terrible things, but he's also done some good things, just like pretty much every other president that has existed in the United States.
Yeah. And that behavior of standing up for Palestine, that scores some big points. I think
Tulsi could do better on that.
Exactly.
100. Like, she's not even done that. I want her to talk about Palestine. I actually would love to ask her more on how she plans on dealing with that, because she says she's for a two-state solution, and BDS is a two-state solution.
Yeah, it is.
So
why is she against?
Exactly, and that's my main criticism of her, actually, more than anything.
Well, that was a good
foreign
segment, I think, too. Let's finish up this foreign policy right now, and then we'll get to some shout-outs before we finish on up. No more shout-outs to the end? Okay, we'll get out there. So let's talk about what the hell is up with Kyle Kalinske. So what the hell is up with Kyle Kalinske? The other day he said this. Take a look at this.
President versus if Warren does. And then the other really important thing is foreign policy. I mean, virtually everything I've seen from Warren on foreign policy tells me that she's a relatively standard Democrat on that front. Now, it's not to take anything away from her on Wall Street policy or trade policy, because I think she's much better than the standard Democrats on that. When it comes to foreign policy, you have, Bernie is really outflanking everybody to the left on that issue. And, just to give one example.
All right, so.
Wait, I want to see the example.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Elizabeth Warren's comments on the Iran deal, she has said pretty clearly she thinks that Iran violated the deal when, of course, we pulled out of it, and then chastised them for not following it after we pulled out of it. So being that, being the commander-in-chief is probably the area where the president has the most control, you can get the most done there, and that happens to be the area where I have my biggest disagreements with her.
Okay. So he's comparing Bernie to Elizabeth Warren. Well, no shit. Elizabeth Warren is a pro-war, green militarism, has zero clue on what to do in foreign policy. If she becomes president, she's going to have some establishment pro-war neoliberal run her foreign policy. She's going to go like this and focus on her domestic, and she's not going to do anything, and we're going to continue these disastrous regime change wars. We're going to continue funneling money from our domestic into the military-industrial complex. So obviously Elizabeth Warren is terrible. However, where's the comparison with Tulsi in regards to foreign policy? Because I am a Bernie supporter, and I'm telling you, Tulsi is here on foreign policy, and Bernie's just not there right now. Whether he's being advised or whatever the issue is, because I do think it's advising. I think he did it a lot better in 2015 when she was advising him on foreign policy.
Yeah. And this was so confusing to me. It's very misleading, too, because, there's a guy who's got like 700,000 followers on YouTube. He's got a big following, and a lot of people on the left love him. And I used to say, he's good, but he's not like, he's not my hero's hero. And the thing that's so surprising that he would even say this here, that he's outflanking everybody else on the left, and really say that when on his show, and once again, I'm not putting this up to bash Bernie. You're a Bernie supporter. I'm obviously Tulsi than Bernie. If Bernie wins the nomination, I'll be out in the streets dancing for him, fighting for him, want him to win. So, however, we understand that on foreign policy, and we talk to a lot of foreign policy people. We even have a foreign policy partner show, that when it comes to foreign policy, Tulsi is here. And Bernie is not there yet. He's down. Is he better than Elizabeth Warren? Yes.
He's not.
But even when, and this is the thing that drives me crazy, and that's why you got to think, I don't know if it's disingenuous, it's misleading, I don't know what he's doing, is he already canceling Tulsi? But look what he says right here in the 9:30 mark, okay, of his show when he interviewed Bernie Sanders. Not that one, the next video. Yes.
All over the world.
So the International Court of Justice, which is the top court at the UN, they recently declared that many of the U.S. sanctions against Iran are illegal, specifically the sanctions that are against medicine going into Iran. But the Trump administration totally ignored them and is continuing to sanction that. Would you remove all of the illegal sanctions, not just on Iran, but would you also do it with Venezuela and Cuba?
Well, my inclination is to say yes, but I have to study that a little bit more thoroughly. Let me just tell you this. Excuse me, I got
you can stop it right there.
My throat is not in great shape.
I mean, that was it. He starts going on to his speech and stuff like that. But the fact that he said that he had to do more research on that was just a big what? Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, you don't understand that sanctions kill. Like, and when we had Tulsi in this seat over here talking, she said there's no device that or results or type of metrics that will show the actual effect of these sanctions in play. Mm-hmm. That it's not presented to Congress, so they have to go out and do their own research, which blows my mind, the fact that they've been voting on these sanctions and handing out these sanctions with not knowing the effect that they actually have. Tulsi Gabbard, and you can see in our tweet I put right below it. Do I have Max's first?
I think you have Max's first.
Put Max's first. So Max says right here, plain and simple, Tulsi is the only candidate to have challenged U.S. sanction regimes that have placed 1/3 of the world's population under economic attack. Bernie has evolved a lot since 2016 and could move, but this question also applies to his support base. Well, fam, do you want to say anything to his support base that never want to pay any attention to anything when it comes to foreign policy?
Yeah,
because it's...
But that's the thing. I mean, a lot of his support base, and to their credit, a lot of his support base is focused on is working class, and they're focused on paying their bills. They're too busy to look, right? But Max Blumenthal retweeted another thing, because Bernie's whole thing was, are you willing to fight for someone you don't know, since the Queen's rally in New York? And Max Blumenthal retweeted, are you willing to fight for somebody in another country under crippled sanctions that you don't know? And that was a very important point to make, because we not only have to fight for someone we don't know in America, we have to fight for people we don't know in other countries that we impose sanctions on, these sanctions that kill. Example, Venezuela. Venezuela is a prime example of what happens when the U.S. Cripples a country to make them fall, and so we can come in there and install our own puppet and, of course, create regime change. And that's a prime example of that. We've been sanctioning countries and we have been crippling them economically, so then they are able to defend themselves against our Western imperialism. And while I do think Bernie touches on Western imperialism, I think to say that he's the best on foreign policy right now is disingenuous, because if you talk to people who are experts on foreign policy, like Max Sloboda, like Max Blumenthal, they understand, like, no, yes, he can be pushed. He's okay. He's far better than everybody else. But Tulsi Gabbard understands it in a way that nobody else does at this point, not only because she just does, but because she's been there and she's been on the ground and she's seen people die over this, and she's seen the connection between the economics of foreign spending and the domestic spending. So
you know when they say, fam, that like certain words, like the keyword choice, like really what's the word? It really bugged people. It kind of really jolted them. Right. But that's the problem. What pisses me off with all the candidates other than Tulsi Gabbard, and you can put up her tweet because it says it right here. The fact that she's the only one to mention the word sanctions. And she even said draconian sanctions right here. You can see on the bottom. Sanctions are an act of war. They kill people. Mike Gravel said it on Jimmy Dore's show, and it's like really important like that. And Tulsi has really, really took this on, and she's educated herself on this, going even further. And she even says, we have to end these draconian sanctions. They are so, so bad. And guess who they kill, fam? The poor, right? I mean, it's like people don't understand. It's like we're killing the poor people. And we can't have nice things if we spend all our money on war. We won't have money for Medicare at all at home. I mean, we should, when it comes to the creating it and stuff. But if we have to balance a budget, we have to spend a certain amount of dollars, right?
Exactly.
How do we have nice things if we're spending $710 billion a year bombing other countries and bombing people back to the Stone Age? You know what I'm saying? It's terrible.
And she in this tweet points out the hypocrisy of calling out these Democrats who are all about the Kurds, all of a sudden all about the Kurds, but they didn't care when we were pushing regime change war in Syria in order to get Assad out because we didn't like him. Yeah. And that is what she's calling out, the hypocrisy of these people, like pretending that they care about democracy, but they really don't. They just care about their interests. And she's just done with the hypocrisy, and so are we. Yeah. And I think it's important that we are, if you're a journalist or a commentator, that you are, even if you support your candidate, that you are still honest about where they stand on these issues, and you can be honest. And I think I love my candidate so much that I want him to do better on these issues, so he can win over more people, so people can get the right information. As supporters, we need to not be sycophants. We need to make sure that we are criticizing our candidate constructively, saying, hey, I support you. I'm going to vote for you. But I also think you could do better on this. I think Bernie and Tulsi both need to do better on Palestine. I think Bernie has moved up there, and I think she needs to move better on the issue. She hasn't. I haven't really seen her address the issue at all. And I say things like that to her. And as far as, like the whole warmonger thing, like the whole, like, there's no need to, say Obama's my friend for both of them. I mean, I'm like, she once again said Obama was her friend. Bernie all the time. I agree with President Obama, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like,
they're playing politics.
They're playing politics, and it's obnoxious, and I can even forgive that because it's things they're saying. I look at what they're doing more behind the scenes.
Yeah,
so.
And a lot of people get upset and jolted by those comments too as well. I know Niko gets upset when you say those things. It's like, I don't want to hear you saying you're friends with a warmonger. Stop it. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous.
Personal, like
it's
I
terrible.
said before. It's personal to us because of what Obama did. It signified for a lot of millennials this failed hope and change.
Oh, yeah, and by the way, Epstein didn't kill himself. So just want to mention that right now.
Okay. So,
he didn't kill himself. In the news, what do we got? Let's go. Let's do this rundown. What do we got on next there?
Yeah, so the
boy,
bottom line.
Trevor.
So I want to play this clip of Trevor Noah, Hillary Clinton, and Chelsea Clinton mocking and laughing at the accusations against her, and also, her pro-war. Let's just laugh about her killing people. Let's just laugh at that.
We're joined by Secretary Hillary Rodham Clinton and Chelsea Clinton, who co-wrote the book of Gutsy Women. Hillary, I have to ask you a question that has been plaguing me for a while. How did you kill Jeffrey Epstein? Because you we're joined.
Isn't that disgusting?
It's more. It gets worse.
Disgusting.
But
it's totally fucking disgusting.
She just like laughs the whole time, and he starts talking about the Republicans and how they're making fun of her and how she's so dangerous, and she's just and she's like dismissing any sort of criticism. And Trevor Noah is dismissing it too, and he's telling his whole audience that yes, if you criticize Hillary Clinton at all for her pro-war policies, and if you suspect her and her husband of any wrongdoing, you're a conspiracy theorist, and you are to be laughed at and to be mocked at and to not be taken seriously. And that is dangerous. That's exactly why we need people like Tulsi Gabbard. Her voice is so important right now to speak out against that, because that's exactly gaslighting. That is what she's doing to all of us who are criticizing her.
It's kind of disgusting. And once again, when we talk about I'm not going to put this on anybody because I don't know if this is anybody's belief, but I definitely believe 1,000% that the Hollywood entertainment aspect of our country is definitely controlled or in line with people like the deep state and the intelligence community and all these other things. that is why, like, him making this joke right here so disgustingly, and this is the definition of disgustingly right there, to act like, how did you kill Jeffrey Epstein? Like, you have nothing to do with it. Like, these people are stupid to question you. They're stupid to question anything when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein and your connection to him.
Even though Clinton's name was on there more than anyone's
27 times on those fucking flight logs, and he's gotten away with murder. He's still walking around, and she's laughing about it, and Trevor is gaslighting to no avail. So this to me was just completely disgusting. Everybody knows that Epstein didn't kill himself, and if he's even
Epstein
dead,
didn't kill himself.
Hashtag. And this is just furthermore more disgusting words in play by the freaking and this is like Jack Ryan-esque. Like Me Too as well.
And they're still promoting that on Twitter.
Yeah, they are.
They keep pushing it on me. Yeah. Another person that is a gaslighter is Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi says that socialism won't win the electorate. And she's talking to Bernie Sanders, obviously, and his supporters, mocking them and saying that socialism is just not going to happen. That, she's again perpetuating the idea that it's pie in the sky, perpetuating the idea that it is some sort of like radical notion, and she's calling it socialism, but really it's actually being a Democrat. That's all Bernie is doing, being an old school Democrat. He's not a socialist, really. He's pretty much an FDR Democrat, and just pushing, Medicare for all, pushing college for all, debt-free, forgiveness, and all of these issues are issues that are important to the American people. So Nance, neoliberalism is losing you. It's losing you seats in Congress. It's losing you seats in the Senate. It's losing worldwide, and it's going to reelect Donald Trump. So people like Nancy Pelosi have a choice. Either they listen to the people and stop worrying about the electorate, or they're going to reelect Donald Trump, and I guess she's fine with it because she'll still get paid.
Yeah, she's totally fine with it.
But we're going to vote her out. Yeah. We're going to vote you out. And that's the thing, Nancy. It's time for you to go. It's time to vote you out. We're sick and tired of her.
She's terrible. And I really don't think people should get caught up on these labels.
Right.
I mean, Pelosi should be taking aim at getting her constituents off the street. In San Francisco, the homeless problem is ridiculous. People are all over the place. So don't worry about titles, about we're not going to call it this, we'll call it that. Just worried about doing what Bernie Sanders is doing, getting people off the streets, getting them fed, getting them proper Medicare so they can take care of their mental illness. Worry about those things, Nancy.
And San Francisco is a prime example because it's freaking awful. Like, not just the homelessness, but the gentrification, how expensive it is to live there. It's disgusting. Yeah. And how it's turned into this elitist, like rich place where if you're not like making, $1 million, you can't even live there anymore. And it's ridiculous. And she lives there. This is her district. She needs to get out.
Yeah.
She's done.
She needs to go. Super chat contribution from Humani D on the MCSC network. Go on over to our Convo Couch YouTube, because your Convo Couch YouTube super chats are always appreciated on the couch. She says, get Tulsi on to explain why her HR 246 beats BDS. Fam, you want to answer anything to that?
Well, HR 246 was a non-binding resolution that her and Ro Khanna both signed. And while I don't agree with it, it did impose on free speech. I 100% agree that she shouldn't have signed it. I don't think any of these people should have signed it. It's just saying it's an agreement that I don't agree with BDS, which I think I would like to talk to her about as to, do you know that BDS isn't, as conflicting as the narrative makes it out to be? And I think, again, she needs to move on that. Bernie Sanders doesn't support BDS either. I would also like to tell him he needs to. And I think both of them need to watch Gaza Fights for Freedom.
They both should watch it.
Because it would really impact them, I think.
And Johnny put it up there. That's why he's on the ones and twos. The breakdown of the anti-BDS bill, HR 246, and where the candidates are. That's about 2 months ago we did it, and it's got a bunch of views on it. Go ahead and take a look. If you want to get more educated on it, it's a great video. Fam really took the time and broke it down. On the Convo Couch YouTube, Tulsi and Bernie 2020. Thank you for the Super Chat contribution, and they are always appreciated on the couch. I would like to see Jimmy Dore interview Bernie just like Kyle did. I think he got 15 minutes. I think he got 14 minutes, and it was a pretty good interview, and he did talk a lot of foreign policy, but you're going to have to take that up with Jimmy Dore and ask him to interview Bernie Sanders and reach out to them. I would like to see Fiorella.
Take it up with Bernie Sanders, too, because, that...
Yeah,
he might not have agreed to interview Jimmy.
Maybe it's not, you know what I'm saying?
But I think out of all the people, he should interview Jimmy. I think Jimmy is wonderful on foreign policy.
Oh, here they are. Rensten says, thank you for the Super Chat contribution, Rensten. We love you, and thank you for all our Patreons out there. You guys are awesome. Michael Parento grew up with Bernie and split with him over the sanctions he did pin in Yugoslavia. This is true here. It's up on YouTube. Great lefty from the 90s, too. You're right. I mean, there were some issues back in the past when it comes to foreign policy. Bernie needs to get better on it. He's way better than everybody else on it, except for Tulsi. But he still needs to get better. And it's kind of, I say to myself, where the hell is his foreign policy team? Where the hell is this guy's foreign policy team? Well, that's because
everybody's so bad on it.
They are. I mean, nobody, and you know, Kyle talked about in an interview on TYT how bad, the only thing I say to him on the interview was like how bad Elizabeth Warren is. Like, she didn't even understand that it was us that fell out of the Iran nuclear deal, that she thought it was them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That it was Iran. Lady, you need to get some foreign policy advisors.
God, she can't be the nominee.
I got plans to get you educated on that stuff. Thank you for the Super Chat contribution from Dave L.H., and it is always appreciated on the couch. Can you comment on Tulsi's tweet in response to Obama's remarks on woke culture and purity, since Tulsi's gotten so much criticism from it from Mike Figueredo and others?
Yeah, like, let's comment on that real quick. Again, I've said this before. Tulsi has somehow calls Obama her friend. Mm-hmm. She's agreeing with the sentiment of call out, like, we have that call out culture. And I kind of agree with her on that. Like, but there's like a sense of we cancel everybody. Like, they don't say one thing, we like, boom, we cancel them. And I disagree with that, you know, and the people criticizing her do it. Like Mike Figueredo, are you kidding me? He's canceled her so many times. He's canceled so many people so many times.
Never was for her anyways.
People, exactly. Yeah. That's the whole point. I disagree with her doing it in that specific instance because I think what I took from Obama's comment was that, like, what we're doing is purity. What we're seeking, the economic justices that we're seeking for the American people, for the millennials suffering, the millennials that voted for him, is he's dismissive of that. And so to me, that's like an insult. Like, it's, again, we take it personally because we believed in him and he failed miserably, and he sold out, and then he freaking, you know, forgave Wall Street, gave them money, and we're all here suffering under these consequences because of it. So for him to say that is gross, and I understand what she meant by that, but I 100% disagree with her comment on that. However, I have seen her criticize Obama's policies.
Yes.
I have seen her differentiate herself from Obama. I have seen Bernie say Obama is a friend. I agree with him, but also I'm not Barack Obama and I would do this differently. So again, when they differentiate themselves on policy, that's what I look at more than them trying to be political and say, oh yeah, this guy's my friend. Yeah, I mean, but if we're gonna be angry at Tulsi, you're gonna have to be angry at Bernie, because he said it so many times regarding McCain, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Elizabeth Warren. Are you kidding me? So many times.
My name is Joe Biden, and John McCain was my friend. Okay, but let me say this much, fam. It's like what you said in that middle of that statement. It is political, guys. He's playing politics here.
Yeah.
So was Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders has always been careful not to criticize Obama because he knows it would count against them. And a lot of people are still out there fishing for those votes.
And I disagree with both of them. Like, I want them to criticize Obama. It's like Obama's a guy they don't touch now. Like, you know, Hillary is now, she's being touched on. Obama is still the guy that's not being held accountable, and he needs to be held accountable. I've seen them criticize him on policy, but they never get personal enough to say Obama was a terrible president or anything like that, or he was a warmonger. They don't say those words. And I think that needs to be said.
Well, if you read the book, Management of Savagery, Mr. Max Blumenthal, who we love you, and he's being jailed, and we should be speaking out against this, guys. This is some very dangerous territory over here, and what they're doing. And they're going to come for them. They're going to come for us next. They're going to come for you. Pretty much it is, like Tulsi says, it's a message to everybody to shut up, get in line. Otherwise, we will jail your ass and starve you out. That's what they're doing to us financially over here, so we're trying to live with it. But, you know, it is playing politics when it gets back, digressing to that situation. I understand the move. And even Tulsi was on stage the other day, or the press conference, where the lawyer came up and talked about Obama vetoing a certain act that wouldn't allow people to sue Saudi Arabia. So she stood there right as that was going on. So she's playing that tightrope. And we've always said that when it comes to Joe Biden and it comes to Barack Obama, I think personally it's politics, and that's why she's playing that game. One love, one heart. Thank you for the Super Chat contribution, and it is always appreciated on the couch. Says, yes, the Hawaii Guard does a lot of drills with India. They are our biggest support in the region. Thank you, One Love, One Heart. We talked about this all the time. It's a geopolitical move. And you know what? We're going to dive in a little bit to, not only we're going to talk about Hong Kong, with Mark Sloboda. We're going to talk about a little bit of India, Pakistan.
Yeah.
Geopolitics.
Tomorrow night at 10.
Tomorrow night. So we're going to get into
Pacific.
that right as well. Tulsi Bernie 2020, thank you so much for your super chat contribution. There was another one. I can't see it. There it is. Dave LH. We already read that one. Did we read everyone? We got them all. Great. I missed that last one. We got it back. Johnny, you got anything to end the show with right now? Johnny has nothing to end the show. Fiorella, you want to end it with anything else before I tell people where to go find us?
No, guys, let's just get on out of here. Busy day today.
Busy day. We'll be back tomorrow day, and tomorrow night. We'll have 2 shows on the schedule, so you can join us at any time. Remember, we have a Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. We're also on the MCSC network on YouTube.
On Periscope as well.
Periscope, and don't forget about our Rockfin. That is the most important. ROKFIN. I hadn't seen Michael Cruz today. I'm going to have to give him a call and see where he's at. We love our Michael Cruz. We love our Rocky Bellinger. Ungi was there as well. We love you too as Ungi.
Hi, Ungi.
And we love all the other people who join in and help us out, especially our Patreon. You guys do so much for us, and we can't thank you enough. Can we, fam?
No, fam. Thank you guys so much.
So
we're going to be doing something fun for Patreon, too.
Yes, we are. We hope you like the last Patreon. The last Patreon was fun, and we're going to be doing that stuff. We got some ideas, and we're going to keep on doing as much as we can. So thank you so much, and don't forget we have the KDM convention in the middle of the month. We're going to join up over there, and we're going to get thrown out of the Long Beach convention. We'll be arrested, so be ready to have money for bail, just in case. You know what I'm saying?
We're going to call out the establishment. That's what we're going to do. So
we're going to do it.
You never know. The California is the worst. So
with your support, we will call out the establishment. For Pasta Jardula,
Fiorella,
and Johnny Sue on those 1s and 2s.
Combo out.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.
Get over to our Rockfin, ROKFN.
Bye, fam.